time to enjoy the indoors with a good, hot, steaming mug of MMO. That was wait, here we go. What? What's wrong?
A hot steaming mug of MMO, really?
Yeah. I don't know. It's trying to be.
Consider hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as the bell notification right next to it. Thank you.
Because my son mentioned, he said, Dad, we should have sent you to get some whiskey or rum because it's time for some hot toddies and whatnot. And I'm like,
It is.
Oh my goodness.
Good hot mug.
It's October.
Mug of MMO. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. And I liked it. It does sound weird, though.
I can't
right.
breathe.
Hang on a minute now. So be quiet. We're going to go to quest now. All right. It is that time when we do some quests. Our Trinity daily quests, where you get your quest to begin, and they come from us, and who better way to do that from your Trinity game masters? That being us. So start off with Kenneth then. Why? I don't know, but okay. Destiny 2 Beyond Light is coming out next month, November 10th, for all you people who still remember that it is somewhat a MMORPG. Bungie decided to entice you and tease you in all their joy by showing some cool weapons and gear to get you ready. Because after all, you're going to be getting bored from between now and then going, what's going to happen next? Because other games are releasing, well, not really Star Wars Squadrons, but not Shadowlands now. So if you happen to be Super Shadow, who's excited about this, then you're good. Ashes of Creation, we may have mentioned this last week. Ashes of Creation showed off some kind of cool aquatic mounts, and they did it in 4K. So if you happen to have 4K, you're great. If you don't, then I guess you can't play the game. No, I'm just kidding. And then Final Fantasy XIV, that game that we know so many people love. I'm sorry, I know people like that. It's getting PS5 backward compatibilities, which means your PS4 version can be played on PS5. And they announced that because it also gave the bad news that the European Fan Festival that they planned for next year has been canceled for February 2021. COVID is now spreading. The 2020 disease is spreading into 2021. So that's pretty sad. But I don't know. For us who are MMO players, it's not bad because we got some games to play. Now, just for people who weren't on the Sir Jazio, I had a little conversation with my daughter. And I was noting how the fact I've been trying to get a virtual board game night going, and my friends don't seem to be doing it. Because I think people are just trying to avoid computers. She said she actually has spent less time looking at Discord, her emails, or anything online during COVID. I go, what? Because people are trying to be online from work to play. They're like, I need to be away from it. So that was interesting. So maybe this whole COVID thing will transpire to a lasting effect. Maybe, whether it's good or bad for games. So we'll chat about that later. Anyway, Sir Jazio, what is your daily quest?
So what we have is not very much, but we do have World of Warcraft Shadowlands coming out next Tuesday, October 13th, for us here in North America. And I'm really looking forward to it. I kind of see some other folks that are still a little more excited to hear news about the actual retail release of Shadowlands, not so much for the pre-patch, especially those who have done the PTR and already kind of done the little activities. They weren't all that impressed. They said it just isn't that much to do. However, I did PTR and I thought it was fun enough to give us just a little bit of something new, and kind of was a nice lead in to retail. However, I will admit I am also looking forward to the actual expansion date being released to us. But again, like I said last week, and like we've said several times for Amazon Game Studios with New World, and pretty much just an open letter to all of our favorite MMO developers, if you need more time, don't be shy about it. Don't hesitate. Take your time. Give us a nice product that is going to work on day one. And if you put systems into the game that are just not working, I would say do away with them. And I really, from what little we are hearing from Blizzard, which is really strange, we've not really had a whole lot of communication going on there. But it just seems like they've overcomplicated the game. Perhaps we can talk about that next week or some other time when we don't have a whole smorgasbord of other things to talk about. But it does seem like they're having some issues with those different mechanics and whatnot, systems, I should say, not mechanics, that are being put into the game that are going to be replaced eventually anyway. So we'll talk about that some other date, but that does seem to be the issue right now. Is it's just not working in between classes. It's making balancing a huge nightmare, and just it's overcomplicating it, honestly. But again, we'll talk about that some other time. But for right now, we do have next week. Us three guys do plan on being there. There's another small group of guys and gals that are going to be hopefully joining us, if not at least playing together in the same guild. So if any of you are interested in joining us, let us know through all of our different social media, and we'll get you hooked up with a pretty cool guild. And hopefully we can play with you as well. And let's see. Oh, I did put well, actually, Kenneth didn't put in the notes, but that Burning Crusade was the last game expansion for World of Warcraft that they actually delayed the game for several weeks, and they haven't done it since then. And it does make me wish that Blizzard would go back to the way that they used to be back when they were still doing just StarCraft and Warcraft and Diablo and Lost Vikings even. I mean, going even back that far back in the 1990s, that some of you that are listening to our show today may not have even been born yet, but Kenneth and I certainly were. We remember the days back when Blizzard used to say we don't release a date until we're sure of it, and I kind of wish that they would go back to that, honestly, so that we don't run into this issue that we have right now. But
Kind of doing it a little bit because they delayed it. I mean,
they did delay it,
so
and that's awesome. As far as the rest of it goes, I mean, I could speculate there are some people that are starting to say mid to late November. I really don't think the 23rd. For one thing, them guys and gals don't want to be having to fix things that are broken. If they release it that week, that's Thanksgiving week here in North
Right.
America. There's no way they're going to release it that week just based on that. They don't want to have to call people in when they're sitting there enjoying their family. A lot of people travel, although with this pandemic, we may be in a different. Even my family doesn't know what we're doing for this year because it's just such a weird time, and definitely no travel. That's out of the picture.
yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. Normally, I would maybe the week before. I think is it the 17th is the Tuesday before. Actually, let me look at my thing so that I don't totally. Yes, the 17th. I could see them doing that the week before. But I don't know, because I really feel like if they've gone through the method of postponing, that it's going to be further out, that they're going to take their time. So we could be talking December.
Yeah.
But
We shall see. Yep.
We shall see. I'm excited for it. I hope you all are as well. I just want to remind everybody, if you're going to be playing, please come play with Solomon and Kenneth and I. Let us know. We're all available here on YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and Discord. Just let us know. We'd love to
Yep.
play with you.
Absolutely. All right, Solomon, what dailies do you have? Oh, I caught him in his phone.
Yeah, I'm trying to find our notes here.
Oh.
Where did I put it? Sorry, give me a sec.
There's a bad cutway into you that, you know.
Ugh. No, I'll just look it up on my computer. Sorry, hang on. One sec.
I guess while I was doing that, I could explain to everyone
Yeah,
why I'm
sorry.
streaming from my bed.
Sure.
Just real quick, everyone, while Solomon's looking up his notes. The reason that I'm in bed is I'm having some health issues. Don't worry, it's fine. God's got this. We've got this. We're good. I've just been having some weakness and related to ALS as well as fatigue, which is probably related to it as well. But as you can see, we're going to keep on keeping on.
Yeah,
And
thank you so much for doing that. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Okay, so one of the things, it doesn't really make this an MMO, but it's been a huge game that came out in recent months, and that's Ghost of Tsushima. I find it really interesting that you could take solely a single player game with no online capabilities, and then turn it into a game that does have online capabilities. And yeah, I mean, they do have something called a raid, where you and I believe 2 or 3 other people are going into essentially a dungeon like you see in an MMO. But again, would I consider this an MMO? No, of course not. It's just online features to it. But I think that's really awesome. It kind of begs the question though too, is like, what kind of game out there that was originally intended for a single player game can actually be turned into an MMO now, rather than just an online game? So.
Which we kind of discussed at one time about that, taking what FPS kind of game would you want to turn into an MMO? Yeah.
Right. And as far as I can tell, there has been no such thing, unfortunately, that took place. But you never know; it could still happen.
It was a try. Fallout 76 was a try.
Oh well, I'm talking more in the along the lines of actually taking, for example, taking Fallout 4, the game itself, and then turning that client into an MMO. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Like that, because that's what's going on with Ghost of Tsushima. I mean, again, it's not being turned into an MMO, but they're giving it online capabilities where you can play with your friends.
Yeah. Okay.
So technology could do all sorts of wonderful things, apparently. Anyways,
well, you consider these games talking about having an open world. You're a first player open world, and you're like, okay, well, what would it take then to add more people to an open world?
Right.
Yeah.
And how many do you have to have people in there to consider it an MMO, right? But anyways, that's another discussion. I mean, we talked about that so many times already, but we could talk about it again later. The chances are some of the people who are watching this right now are playing a game that's been published or developed by Gamago or Gamago. No, they're a publisher, right? Are they a developer? I can't remember. I know they're a publisher, but
we at least know that, yeah. Gamigo,
Anyways, they're celebrating their 20th anniversary this week, and there are a bunch of festivities going on to celebrate that animation. Wow, celebration! Everything from Defiance to Rift to those are the only ones I know. I think there's like 15 or of them. I think.
Like I care. Yeah, I know they bought
right.
Those games,
That's
from
true.
Tryon Worlds, but I'm like, but then they also didn't, they have Arcade and then Trove, but they kind of almost not quite killed Rift, I guess. I'm not sure. Defiance still out there, but yeah, I don't know.
Defiance still baffles me. Like, holy crap,
it's a fun game. Even the new one. The new one,
really?
basically, by the way, it's just a reskin of the old game. It's nothing new. I tried the new one, the Defiance,
2052 or something like that?
Yeah, it was like I started playing it. It was the exact same quest as before, and I'm like, "How's this new?" So,
so they're really gunning for your every dime. It seems like.
Well, that was back before Gamigo bought it, so it's trying to doing.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that I didn't know.
Gamigo does a lot of, I think, mobile games. That's what they're basically known for, I think.
A lot of Eastern companies are going that route, unfortunately. Well, I mean, Western too. I mean, look at Blizzard and their debacle with.
I thought Gamigo was a European country.
Oh, are
They
they?
were a German company.
Oh, but then don't they have subsidiaries in Korea and
Oh
China
yeah. Well,
too?
they all? Well, they're not quite, but
So that's why I was thinking maybe they were like a Chinese company, but oh man, my background's showing. Sorry. um, what else? Oh yeah, so Star Citizen marked its 8th birthday this week as well with Alpha 3.11, which introduced a lot of really cool features, but also a lot of bugs too, unfortunately. But that's nothing new. They did release a new Halloween event as well as a pumpkin carving contest within the game. I think it's within the game actually. Don't quote me on that. But again, as I say that, I hear the hundreds of sighs in chat and in the internet saying how it's been 8 years and it's still only an alpha. It's like, yeah, I get the criticism. I really do. And I have no defense against it, but it's still, in my personal opinion, one of the most anticipated games that I really look forward to playing when it's finally finished. So,
well, you gotta consider the fact that Star Wars Squadrons got released, and it's a flight sim. I mean, obviously space flight sim. And then I was trying demoing Everspace 2, it's also a flight sim. And you're like, yeah, we want these flight sims. It's like, or these space flight sims. Where are they?
oh,
So, yeah.
yeah. Fair enough. What else is there? Oh yeah, so this is really cool. This is definitely going to benefit a lot of the consumers out there. So right now in World of Warcraft, you could actually level up to level 20 for free for the free-to-play version of the game, but they're not changing that after Shadowlands comes out. So there's a difference between playing the game for free at a level 20 when the cap is what, 150? Sir Jaziel, what's the cap right now? 100 something?
Sorry, I was having trouble with my mute button.
Oh, no worries.
It's 120 is the max level right
120, yeah. So that's crazy. So again, they're not changing it down to like level 5 or whatever is substantially like what do you call that? Progressively changing it to like level 3 or whatever the equivalent is to level 20. That is to level 120. So yeah, even with the cap at level 50, they're still going to keep it at level 20, allowing the players to, I would assume, experience more content even with that cap. So a lot of people seem to be happy with that. And lastly, well, actually two things. Second to the last thing I wanted to talk about that there was a reminder on massivelyoP.com, and in one of their articles, they've noticed that CCP London is they released or put out more flyers or whatever you want to call those to hire more people. They're hiring more people for their game that no one has any idea about other than the fact that it might be an MMO or have some sort of online capabilities to it. So I think they were looking specifically for people with MMO experience, if I recall, but take that with a grain of salt. I can't really remember correctly. So yeah, I mean, maybe I should have mentioned that last. But before we talk, because I wanted to ask you guys about what that could possibly be, since you guys are the ones that play ESO. But lastly, EVE Online had their biggest PvP battle in video game history, apparently. That happened 3 days ago. Yeah. And this time, over 8,000 players were involved in this giant PvP battle, and over 5,000 ships were lost, and 1.6 trillion ISK, which is their in-game currency, was lost as well. And I did a little calculation, and that is about just under $30,000 worth of in-game stuff that just completely vaporized.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. So I don't know if they're gonna make another monument for that, for all the people, like a sort of a graveyard for that. But anyways, going back to what I was talking about earlier, I'll pass on the question to you guys. What do you think ZOS is working on, and do you think it's going to be very similar to Elder Scrolls Online?
ZeniMax is going to be making an online game called based around the Fallout IP.
Wow, you think so?
No, I'm just kidding.
I mean, it's still possible, but
no, I mean that would be terrible. I would just ruin everybody. I'll let Jaziel chime in right now on this one.
Honestly, I'm not really sure. All that we know, if I've seen everything that's been published out there publicly anyway, is that it's an action MMO, and it is going to be on the new Unreal Engine.
Okay.
Other than that, it's all speculation. Now, I'm with you that I know it was kind of in jest, but man, I really wish
That would be
they
nice.
would.
Yeah.
It would be nice for them to do it right. I mean, 76 is meh and all. It's okay, but I'd really like a full MMO experience Fallout.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, I think it would be amazing if it was done right, but I just don't. There's a lot of voices in my head, which is probably due to some of you, and some of you are probably going, "Of course he does." That are telling me, that are telling me, no, they wouldn't go that route. They tried that with 76, and
But what
you
about
know,
Starfield? That's their game they're going to come out with. What if they turn that game and immediately they're turning it around and turning it into an MMO without
could see
waiting to
that.
see how successful Starfield is?
I could see that more than Fallout.
Wait, sorry. Was
now-
that speculation? Turning it into MMO, like, or are you just putting that out there?
I'm speculating.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
mean,
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So
that's
I mean,
all we have to go on, though.
So ZeniMax, I mean, any game out there, any publisher has to either do two things. I mean, I don't think there's any anymore. You create your new IP or you use existing IP. You know, ZeniMax, is now owned by Microsoft. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I wonder, but they're already in work. So,
Right.
I mean, you got Doom, Quake, maybe a Doom. Current IPs, okay? You got Dishonored, Doom, Fallout. You got Elder Scrolls, which is already happening, okay? Now they have the new one called Starfield. I'm not sure. I can't remember what other things they've done in the past that might be falling on this line. And so you start wondering if they're going to use is this current IP or a new IP.
I think it's a new IP. Just from all the secrecy, I think it's a new IP.
Well, if it's an action one, now you're looking at different. Well, action will follow more like Elder Scrolls type of thing, where you're not doing tap targeting, or was it? How would you define more of the action genre or MMO?
That would be action. That would relate to action combat. So yes, you're absolutely correct.
Okay,
that would indicate it's more of an
all right.
MMO. ESO
Elder
thing.
Scrolls Online 2.
And
I don't know.
I've heard people toss out Doom MMO, but I just don't see how they could do that. And
right.
What was the name of that Hell's Gate or that MMO that failed long time ago?
Oh,
the
yeah.
MMO, the Hellgate London.
Sorry.
Hellgate London. Thank you. That was an awesome game, but that's when people say, "Oh, it's got to be a Doom MMO." Oh, I'm so excited. I think back to that game because it would have the same kind of atmosphere to it, I think. But when we're going over all these games, both ones that are already buried as well as the ones that are active right now, I almost think it's probably going to be something new we haven't heard about yet, which would honestly be a little bit more exciting to see.
It would be
what they can do.
I mean, example is the fact that we know that Amazon Game Studio came up with a new IP called New World. We also know that John Smedley is working on another title in AGS. So you start wondering about, okay, that's cool. But I tell you one thing though, with Microsoft buying ZeniMax, it does open up other ideas, like Halo or just anything that Microsoft has. I don't know, but maybe not. You're right. All right.
I could see I honestly could see a Halo MMO.
I see people doing that.
Me too.
All right, we're gonna move on. We are done with that. Now we're gonna go into our storyline quest. Every time I hear that, I keep smiling because I'm like, I know it's me. I know it's my voice. I know I did the words and everything else, but it just sounds like, what the heck, dude? But okay, anyways, we are time for some Trinity Bro opinions with a Trinity story quest. Okay. We three are streamers. I know that Solomon has streamed in the past a bunch of different games. He's less streaming these days, but Shazil and I have, and so I toss this out as an idea. Are MMORPGs good games to stream? So this is my layup, so you can slam dunk it if you want to, okay? There's a large variety of games out there being shown on Twitch right now, okay? We're not talking about just chatting, which is the biggest segment of people, watching when it comes to Twitch numbers, okay? But that's only a game. We can have a game. You can talk about games, right? This is right now a podcast we're doing. I could have on just chatting, so there might be some games there, right? But forget that. But you got League of Legends number 2, Among Us number 3, Fortnite number 4. And you're like, okay, those aren't MMORPGs. So if I was to go into the field of where exactly are you looking at MMORPGs, WoW's at 13, Destiny 2 is at 40. RuneScape, old school RuneScape, is 42. BDO is 45. ESO is 69.
Wow, really?
So I put it out there. Are MMORPGs good games to stream? So Jaziel, you are resident WoW expert and streamer of WoW stuff. What are your thoughts?
I don't know that it really it really does depend on what you're going after. If you're asking popularity wise, I would say no.
Okay.
The thing is, just being honest, completely honest, and I've had this conversation again, voices in my head. I've asked myself this many times because honestly, it is more fun, even for me who doesn't really enjoy a lot of the competitive style games. The competitive games are more fun to watch. The first person shooters, the MOBAs, the even card games like Hearthstone and Gwent and all those other ones are more entertaining to watch people play against each other and seeing who has the most skill at these different types of competitive games. It is more exciting to watch it. There's more moments of awesomeness or whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, there are folks, again, like kind of like us three in here, who enjoy other genres and also put a lot of value in community and in the social aspect of not only streaming but gaming as well. And I would rather be in a stream with a person that I can connect with and have a social experience with, that I can chat with and just share life with as you would a friend. That's more my goal as a streamer and as a viewer. That's what I enjoy. Now, I'm not saying that it's not fun to watch someone doing dungeons or especially raiding, especially when raids first come out in any of the MMOs where those bosses haven't been downed yet. So maybe you're watching Method or any of the other Origin or any of the big names out there that competitively, again, it's still there, are playing against each other to see who can complete the dungeons first, or that kind of thing. Or even if you're not, if you're just watching a guy that's just in a guild that's trying to down a boss, that's kind of fun to me. I would say that just running around and questing, and I've been told this by people. Just this last Monday, I had a couple of people that I value their opinion, and they're right. They were like, maybe wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You should start like running dungeons and stuff because it seems like every time we come here, you're just leveling, and I can't take offense to that. They're right. Just leveling and running around and like exploring and whatnot really isn't that fun to watch.
Well, it's funny how
So-
you basically answered my question. I didn't pose it, but you basically answered it. The difference between being a streamer playing a game and a watcher of a game. Because you're right. Because when it comes to when you're a streamer playing Fortnite or not Among Us, but Fortnite or League of Legends or other games, you can't really engage in chat. You're not chatting.
True.
You're not engaging with chat. You can't. It's just the screens are tend to be rolling. You're so busy with the game, you can't do that. So, but the Warcraft or ESO others do give you a chance to actually stop, pause, get into a safe spot, and chat with people. Unless you're doing a dungeon, this is a lot different. Okay.
Absolutely.
So
And
what do you
it does.
think? Oh, right.
Oh, I was just going to finish that thought up with that. There are streamers who do really well. Some of them are in our community, as a matter of fact, that are really good at keeping up with chat to a degree, not during the matches. If they're playing Rainbow Six or Call of Duty or what have you, that they use the moments in between the matches to catch up on chat and to talk with everyone. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, that is
The
where
lifetime.
MMOs succeed as well as simulators and city building games and things like that. And that's why I've always gravitated towards playing those more boring to watch games, is that they're slower, they're not as exciting, but I can have a conversation with people that
Right.
come in, and
Yeah.
that is what's important to me. Not
Right.
showing off my awesome skills at shooting people from 200 yards away or whatever, although that is fun to watch. I'd rather play a game where I can do what we're doing right now, having a conversation.
Yeah, Michael, first time listener, he says, first time chatter, good evening, gentlemen. He says, nothing is wrong with leveling. I don't tend to play in-game in any MMO that I play. I don't enjoy the grind to prepare for raiding, which is fair. I'm glad you get to play the game you want to. So, Solomon, what are your thoughts about this, right? Is it a good game to stream? Or MMORPG is a good game to stream?
I think it can be, but I think the discrepant is that the word I'm looking for? Discrepancy between MMOs, like the popular ones and the less popular ones, like the gap is just so big right now, because I think you can still do really well as a streamer as so long as you're streaming the right MMOs. So that means World of Warcraft, maybe Warframe. I don't know if it's up there, but I think it is.
See Warframe, but I wasn't looking.
That's just a guess. That's just based on the overall population.
These are October 2020 numbers, by the way, so they're only 10 days of the month.
So, I mean, will you become a successful streamer just by streaming, say, for example, Black Desert Online that I play? I would highly doubt it. You would need to be somebody who already established a presence in the world of streaming. And then if you stream, say, for example, Black Desert Online, then you'll be able to still pull in big numbers. Say, for example, let's pretend Ninja or Shroud started playing Black Desert Online. That's the only way you'll see that game reach like 10, 20K viewers. If you started from scratch, I mean, like, good luck. I mean, unless like you're like literally the best player, in the game, like you just won't pull that kind of numbers. But in my opinion, I think the overall problem, and I'm gonna digress a little bit, because you kind of touched upon it earlier, Ken, was just streaming in general, and I think too many people abuse the just chatting section. There's other categories out there, like camping and outdoors and all this, and fitness and all that other stuff, that would be still under the umbrella of just chatting because you're not really playing any video games. But people don't use those categories because no one watches them, and so people just put it on just chatting because, like you mentioned earlier, that's number one category right now. So kind of talking about what you were talking what on the subject matter, yes and no, but I think the overall symptom is just the just chatting category of in itself that's causing a lot of the problems, and not just with the MMO community. And that's what I see.
All right, cool. Michael says, I think they are good at expansion launch times for the first month or two, then they significantly drop off. But you have streamers like Asmongold, who started with WoW, with 95% of his streams are WoW, and is one of the top streamers on Twitch. More for his person, I think, not so much for the gameplay, which is true. And that's what I tend to jump for.
Yeah.
I jump more toward the viewer, the streamer, than the content. I will watch the content or what they're doing, and maybe get a chance to see the game, right? But I'm more for the viewer, the streamer, than I am for the content. And it's hard to watch for me to watch a World of Warcraft or an ESO game being played because I want to play it myself. And so I'm definitely for those guys who are streaming those kind of games, those who are doing MMORPGs, I'm more inclined to just listen to them and do my own thing. Now, others, like I said, good point, like Fortnite or League of Legends are more action-based or much more fast-paced. Among Us, obviously very popular right now, people just jumping in to play it. And so those typically that you want that, but you can also get in and out. You're not long-term. All right, that was cool. Michael says also, sure, I will watch a streamer that I like play Fall Guys, which I hate to watch to support them. All right. Now we are into our next section, okay? So more of our opinions. This time around, it's our escort quest, where we lead you to safety, XP, and the adventure of a lifetime, which I need to turn into an actual audio clip when I turn this over, but not yet. Okay. 2020 is not quite over yet. A lot of us are waiting for the year to end. The world, waiting for the year to end. And on one level, I'm thinking, hold off, let 2020 just expire itself out so that basically nothing carries over to 2021, even though we're already seeing some indicators of things being canceled next year. So my curiosity question was, did we gain or lose in 2020? Online games are online, and we have been online. So has there been an increase in online gaming? What's interesting is that I started off earlier this show with my daughter talking about the fact that she has spent, now that she's been working from home, she's in the game industry, so she does her computer stuff and she does her game stuff. She is less inclined, even though she wears the blue glasses, she's feeling some eye strain. She's only 26, feeling some eye strain, and she deliberately makes sure she's off of Discord, off of emails, everything else. So she's less inclined to be online because of that. So I started wondering about the whole thing about whether or not COVID, the whole being online, has been not as a boom for games and online games, but maybe a bust because, well, except for you have delays in games, people maybe just wanting to get out of their house because they're tired of being cooped up. Maybe it's even less because usually summertime is the drop off because everyone's outside playing around. And in the fall, they come back. So Solomon, what do you think? Okay. Do you think there's been a drop off? Is there a change?
Statistically, I don't think so. I think, if I remember correctly, YouTube has been on its highest profits since.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like since the whole pandemic started. I think they've been making the numbers because, like, usually the numbers will spike in terms of YouTube profitability during the weekends because obviously everybody has their day off, more time to spare, so they'll watch videos. But if I recall, in their last financial report, they said that it's been constant. They've been getting weekend numbers constantly, even on the weekdays, up until now. And in terms of AdSense revenue, I mean, those are in the billions, obviously. So they're making a killing right now. And I know that's not really correlates to actual wins or loses in terms of online games, but I would still say that in terms of the content that's being consumed, especially with streaming and especially with videos or VODs on YouTube that relate to video games, such as the stuff that I make, that kind of also ties into the sort of popularity of YouTube right now that they're going through. So overall, like, it's really hard to say. I think also that is also very in line with that. A lot of industries, unfortunately, has been hit because of the pandemic. I mean, I think that's pretty obvious no matter where you live right now. But one of the industries that hasn't really been hit really hard, if at all, is the video game industry. Because, matter of fact, a lot of more people have been buying video games because they have all this time to spare. And video games these days aren't all that standard $60 anymore. Well, it's going up to $70, and we're kind of seeing that already. But for sure, we're going to see that in 2021. But you see a lot of indie developers out there that'll charge $5 for a game. For example, Among Us is only like $5 for the PC, and it's free on the phone. You have other RPGs out there that's like $10-20, and so there's a wide variety of price ranges in terms of what kind of game would fit your budget. So I'm just saying overall, game sales have been through the roof. If you look at the sort of the data that has been collected, I believe from Steam and Epic Games, like you'll see like a chart, and it's tapering off on the high end of things. Again, ever since the whole pandemic started. So I think it's a mixed bag, because again, then that begs the question: if video games are making record profits by selling it, why are they still hiking up the price up to $70? And in my opinion, and I know that's a huge different story, I think it's just pure greed. I usually don't say anything is greed until like you have solid proof, but given the reasoning that the video game industry hasn't really suffered that much during this pandemic, and they're still gonna hike up the price, yeah, I think that's I can't help but say that's pretty shady. That's pretty shady. And now the fact that not many people will be able to afford it because a lot of us aren't working, myself included. But again, that's a different story. I'm sorry to digress.
Well, that's a good statement. I mean, the games have been $50 to $60 for like 20 years.
Right.
Okay, so going up to $70 doesn't mean it's like a big deal. But you're a good point. If they're still making profit, why are you jacking it up?
Record profit too.
And back then, there was also a lot more shipping out. You paid for the plastic or the cardboard, the disc, and so there's a lot more physicality in the game. Now being electronic, all they got to do is put it on, a server somewhere, and poof, people can bring it up. So
exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting thought. Okay, I mean, I haven't really seen. I mean, to me personally, I didn't see like there's been a big big dip in the overall space. I see people on all the time. I haven't really been rating, so I haven't really seen whether or not there's been a dip in the overall. I mean, Destiny 2 always goes through its dry cycles, which is why when I was on a couple of months ago, no one was really there because it's waiting for the next DLC coming up. I have not been rating ESO or World of Warcraft, so I haven't really seen it personally. But it just feels like people are online. They haven't really gone anywhere. But maybe it's just the way they're engaging, interacting. Maybe it's not necessarily the fact they're not online. They're just not maybe playing the same games. They're looking more for community games or more interactive games to keep them like watching a TV show. So Cyan says, because like all companies, they're in the business to make money. Yeah. All right. So Jazia, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, there's going to be a lot of factors at play, but I think one of the major factors is the onset of acute depression. Really is going on with a lot of folks right now. I think at first when this whole thing started and we started being stay in place and people were working from home before all the furloughs and layoffs were happening and causing a lot of people to be out of work, and honestly that first stimulus check here in the US was great, but that only went so far, and for a lot of people that only lasted for a month. If you're accounting for that they're furloughed, there's no money coming in, and that's rent, that's your electric and gas bill, that's all of the food and whatnot that you got to provide for your family. I think at first it felt kind of like a little bit of a vacation. I know it certainly felt
That's
that
a good
way.
point.
Yeah, for my family. So we were like, hey, we've got more time to be playing video games, and that was what we did. And as time went on and money started getting tighter, and again, just working in, the fact that a lot of people are out of work, a lot of my friends and family are struggling to make ends meet, and this has gone on and we're stuck in the house. And yeah, we didn't get to go, there were no Disneyland trips this year or Magic Mountain or whatever theme park is in your neck of the woods. There were no going to the beach this year. There was no going up, and it was mentioned, that there's a camping section on there, which I had totally forgot about actually. because most people, he's right. Salman's right. Most people do go to just chatting.
Yep.
But there were no camping trips this summer, and even our pool here at my complex was closed the whole summer. It was locked. You couldn't get in. They've locked the gym. All the gyms are closed. And you can't even go get a drink. The bars are closed.
Yeah.
Not that we should be frequently bars, but I'm just saying that all these forms of entertainment, pool halls, and all the other things that we used to do, we're stuck at home, and just our immediate surroundings here, and we're even doing doctor's appointments online and whatnot. And it just leads you to seclusion, and it leads you to feeling a lot more alone than what we're used to, because we're used to going to work, being surrounded by people, and being able to go to the grocery store, and all those other things that were just normal daily life. And so that vacation perspective or point of view that we had for that first couple of months that's gone now.
Yeah.
And I was talking about my fatigue and whatnot, and I think that's a separate issue from even myself. This past week, I just haven't felt like gaming all that much, and it's just kind of like, I'm still cooking meals and still taking care of myself, still taking care of my kids and all that, but that enjoyment is kind of gone. It's like I want to go back to work. I want to get back to, for me, it's back to teaching Sunday school, back to teaching Awanas on Wednesdays, and being able to actually go see my doctor. I mean, that some of you will say, well, I don't want to go to the doctor, but for me, that was, part of my
Yeah.
fun every month was
Right.
going and chit-chatting with my doctor and with the nurses, and
Yep.
you know, and even things like when you came down to California and whatnot, that would have been more realistic if we didn't have all this, restrictions and whatnot, and
Yep. It's true.
all the things that we've talked about, with, like, well, in Europe they had the conventions and whatnot are being shut down even for next year. And we've had, BlizzCon talking about World of Warcraft. BlizzCon's been canceled except for the online stuff, and I missed San Diego Comic Con this year. So it's like,
Yeah.
we're kind of in this funk right now, and I could absolutely see it, and I've seen statistics saying both. So I don't know who to believe. And again, we've talked about this before. I took statistics in junior college. It's been a while. It was back in like 94, 95 sometimes. So it's been a while, but I remember that teacher was very pessimistic and skeptical about, and cynical especially, about statistics. And he was like, people will lie through numbers. Numbers don't always tell the truth.
Right. Yep.
And I've seen both sides of this. I've looked at the statistics for Steam and Ubisoft and all the other big names out there, Blizzard, and they tell one story, and then you get the stockholders and some of the other people telling a different story, and it's like, I as far as being in an MMO, Elder Scrolls Online and World of Warcraft, for me, I haven't seen with my own eyes a decline in numbers, and it hasn't been any more difficult to run a dungeon or raids are a little different, because World of Warcraft, the reason that there's a lull right now is you just said it, Kenneth, and just a
Right.
little bit ago,
Waiting.
everyone's waiting for the next expansion. So they're just doing like leveling alts, or
That's fair. It happens to a
going
lot of
and
games.
watching, catching up on episodes that they missed of The Walking Dead or whatever. It's like they're doing other things, in other words, because they're just waiting. There's nothing really to do of substance in MMOs right now, except for the ones that just like Greymore, content. There's still stuff coming out for ESO. Final Fantasy's had a couple of little things done that people can do, but Other than that, that's where the lull is coming in.
I think you guys both expressed it very well, especially considering the fact that we are in that, that time now. We're in the fall. Fall is already the time when people get back indoors, and you start seeing people get a little bit more like, wow, I'm indoors now. I can't go outside because it's raining or snowing or cold, whatever it is, right? But
Right.
now it's also the realization that we are still indoors and we are still coveting. We are still working in place. And it's like, when are we going to get out of this? What's the rest of the year? And I think people are trying to figure out that new normal and what they're going to do. And I don't think they want to be online all the time. They're trying to find a way to get out without necessarily getting out. They're trying to find a way to temper their viewing pleasure on here. Which, I mean, like, I don't know if that means like getting into person for a board game or just read a book. Maybe we'll see a lot more. Maybe the book sales from Amazon's gone up because people are buying more books and reading, or just engaging people in a different way. That's a good point. So maybe that's what it is. We are seeing a change. I think that we did see a loss in regards to some games being delayed. So that hurts, but it also helps because, again, if you're going to make a game good, make sure it's done right. You could use COVID as an excuse. Everyone's going to forgive you right now, including investors. But down the road, it will change. So it will change. All right. I certainly hope we gave you the XP and the adventure of a lifetime you were looking for. That's in for our escort quest today. Now, some world events. Okay, so we were planning on doing a expansion release for World of Warcraft. We don't know what it's going to be yet, so that's off the table. We've been talking about, we haven't really put together anything real big plan about a pre-expansion thing this coming week, Tuesday. So that just join us either way you look at it, right? People will be doing, whether we have an actual show or pre-launch, whatever, we'll be in the expansion playing, doing the pre-expansion and leveling up, or at least creating new characters and moving on. So just join us for that. All right. Our quests are done. The dungeons have been looted, and the crafting dailies are completed.